Hello and welcome to June Safety. Today we're going to be talking about the customer service results for May, and we're going to talk about accidents and claims for the month of May, and then also some driver training, the drive cam and the review and the LLLC. So let's just jump right into the customer service, the May results. So in May, we received 111 comments. As you can see, May has been the highest comment receiving month in the last 6 months. Well, what were those comments about? A lot of them were invalid. However, those that were valid, we have 7 no-shows, 8 were late, attitudes, general comments, driving comments. So these are comments that we get from our passengers, and they let us know how we're doing. So how are we doing? Well, the complaints in May were mostly about attitude. Drivers having a bad attitude. Okay, now around 11 and 12, those were closed as valid. Mostly attitude, driving, late, no-show, off-route, pass up. So we just got to remember, if you're late, stay late. Okay? No show, basically passengers waiting there for the time for the bus to come, and because it's running late, it doesn't show up, so they call it in as a no-show. That we can excuse. Pass up, however, if you're driving your bus and you come upon a bus stop and there's a pedestrian who is looking to come on your bus and you just drive right by, that's a pass up. So they have full reason to send in a complaint that they were passed up. And because of the videos, we're able to validate that action. Now in May focus, we're focusing on attitude. So let's make it easy. Okay, turn the frowns upside down. Be happy that you're driving. Be happy that you have a job. That's basically what it comes down to. If you're happy, most of the passengers are happy. And you can turn those frowns of our passengers upside down into smiles by just greeting them. You know, welcome aboard. Be happy. All right? And if you're happy before they're upset, you can most of the time turn their frown upside down. All right, so the comments that we received. So many customers' compliments were 3 of them. We got 1 excellent, friendly, and helpful driver to Carla. So hands up and shout out for Carla. Tried the buses, Sparks to Reno and Reno to Airport. Very good system. Online resources are very good. Buses are very clean and quiet. Drivers were extremely helpful. Online pass system is very easy to use. Love the day pass. So shout out to our systems. Shout out to the bus drivers. And here's one to Josh and all the drivers. I got the Virginia line to work, and I had an amazing bus driver, Josh. And when I got out of work, I was surprised to see him still driving. He said they were shorthanded and he was working a lot of shifts, a long shift. So a shout out to him and all the drivers on the Screw Up of 11. More power to you and keep up the great work, y'all. So again, our passengers really like the good attitudes and us hard working. So keep it up, Josh. Thank you for all the hard work you guys do. I know it's not easy, but if anybody can do it, it's you. All right, let's look at some accidents. Let's look at some not so pleasant topics. All right, so in May, we had 3 non-preventable accidents. We had a hit by another vehicle, we had a passenger injury, and we had a fixed object. Hitting a fixed object that was not preventable. Then we had 6 preventable accidents. 1 was hitting another vehicle, and 5 of them were hitting fixed objects. Now, hitting a fixed object, I would think is hard to do because the object is not moving, and you can avoid it. However, for some reason, we keep, month after month, we keep hitting fixed objects. So let's try not to hit fixed objects. Be a little bit more aware of your surroundings. Keep an eye out for any fixed objects that are moving, which will not happen because they are fixed. So year to date, we have 29 non-preventable accidents, and that's hit by another vehicle. Can't do anything about it, right? The other vehicle, they're bad drivers out there. You, however, are professional drivers, so you're not part of that bad drivers category. But if you look at the hitting the fixed objects, 18, and they're all preventable. So we need to concentrate on not hitting fixed objects. Let them be. No reason to hit them. Now, hitting other vehicles, well, sometimes it's preventable, sometimes it's not. Year to date, we've had 12 of those. Let's try and stay away from hitting other vehicles, please. You guys, like I said, you guys are professional drivers. You can do this. Now, we have passenger injuries and passenger incidents. Passenger injury, we had 3 of them, non-preventable, 1's preventable. And then property damage. So these are all the things that we keep track of, and we just need to get these numbers down. And the best way to do it is don't hit anything with your bus. Now, year-to-date accidents by location, you can see that the Virginia line is the worst offender when it comes to accidents. And we've got non-preventable accidents of 10 and preventable accidents of 6. Now, Virginia line, you're going up and down Virginia line. I feel for you. It's not easy. Cars jumping out at you, pedestrians, scooters. But again, I stress that you guys are professional drivers, and there's no reason, well, except for the non-preventable ones, to have accidents or this many accidents. Now, in the yard, it's mostly hitting fixed objects. And again, fixed objects do not move. So those are all preventable, except for 2 of them, which I have no idea what happened there. But if you study this slide, you can see that every single route has had at least 1 accident. It's unfortunate, but I think we can do better. So just be aware. Now, time of day. This graph shows us that at 8 o'clock in the morning, when the other drivers are getting into their vehicles and getting on the road, at 8 o'clock in the morning, we have a lot of non-preventables, meaning that the other drivers are not awake yet. They haven't had their coffee, they're putting on their makeup, whatever it is. But that's when we, the professional drivers, have to be very alert. We have to be on the lookout for those other drivers that are non-professional drivers that are still waking up. 9 o'clock, they're mostly rushing. So they're rushing to go into work, and that's why all of the 9 o'clockers are non-preventable. Now, come lunchtime and 4 o'clock, those are mostly on us, because those are preventable. You can see that at 4 o'clock and at noontime, most of the accidents are preventable. And that's just because either we're rushing or just not paying attention. So make sure that around those times that you're more alert, pay closer attention. Now here's an interesting slide. It shows that since July 1st, 2019, we to date have 154 drivers. And since July 1st, 2019, we've had 245 accidents with the current drivers. 23.4% of our current drivers have been driving less than a year, and they have caused 11.8% of those accidents. Now that's understandable. They're new drivers. They're learning. They're getting the hang of it. Now the drivers that have been driving a year, there's 16.2% of those drivers, and they've caused 13.9% of the accidents. Now I say that the uptick is because they've been driving longer, so there's a more chance of them getting into more accidents. However, if you look at the driving 2 years, 2 to 3 years, you can see that we have a very few, or 3.9% to be exact, of our drivers have been driving for 2 years. And they've only caused 5.7% of the accidents. So it seems like there's a learning curve of 2 years. But then we look at year 3. You're driving for 3 years. There are 9.1% of our drivers have been driving for 3 years plus, and they've caused 14.7% of the accidents. Now you're starting to go into driving for 4 years, which we have 47.4% of our drivers have been driving for 4 years come July 1st. And they've caused 53.9% of the accidents. Folks, this looks like a classic case of complacency. Yes, you've been driving for 4 years. Yes, it's the longest. And yes, there's more time to have more accidents. However, I would expect the younger drivers to have more, because even if you add them up, you're still not halfway in the accidents. So our older drivers are being complacent. So don't be complacent, okay? Enjoy your job. Be alert out there. Be a professional, because this is what we hire you to do. To drive a bus, not to get into accidents, and just be aware out there that you've been doing this for 4 years. Some of you have been doing it for 40, 30 years. But just since Keola took over in July 1st, 2019, this has been, these are the numbers. Talking about numbers, let's look at the accidents by the numbers. For the last 6 months, ending in May 31st, the Lennox reported the following numbers for the last 6 months. Rolling stops, we went from 1,223 to 375. So rolling stops have come way down. So congratulations to all of you for coming way down on rolling stops. Now fail to stop, that's when the bus crosses the stop line, went from 371 to 124. I say were still 124 too many. Now near collisions, we went from 73 to 41, which is great. However, near collisions is just one more step for a collision. So you want to avoid all near collisions. Food and drink and cell phone, we went from 41 to 31. I can understand that. You're now more aware of not eating and drinking while you're driving or being on your cell phone. Late responses, we went from 40 to 34. And posted speed violations, 37 to 17. And following distance, 26 to 17. So in every category we went down, so congratulations. You guys are doing a great job. So let's take a look at some Linux footage and see what's going on here. So you tell me, or tell each other, which LLLC applies. Okay, now remember, the bus driver is not at fault. But let's see what could have prevented this from happening. And that car lost its bumper. So, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to talk amongst yourself of how that can be avoided. And then we'll watch it again and we'll talk about it. Okay. So, the driver was not at fault, but you gotta leave room. Leave room could apply as the car was going slow and the driver was passing him in the blind spot. This shows that we must always use look around. Okay, so let's watch it again. The car is slowing down for some reason. And there it goes. There goes the bumper. And that's a famous place to go in, the Peppermill. So leave room, look around, just be aware of the other drivers. Okay, here, let's take a look what happens here. Okay, intersection awareness. Boy, that was a close one. All right, I'm going to give you a couple more seconds. Go ahead and talk amongst each other of how that can be avoided and what can be applied in this situation. Okay, let's watch it again. And this time, look at the speed. Okay, so right here we notice that this car is starting to move forward. The driver should have slowed down a little bit, for it's an intersection. Anything can happen in an intersection. We all know that because we're professionals. So slow down when coming into an intersection. Just be aware of all the cars. And then this won't happen to you. Now let's change our subject to the stop sign. Page 29 of the Nevada DMV handbook, it states stop signs means you must come to a full stop behind the stop sign at the crosswalk or the stop line. Now the traffic fine for running a stop sign carries a $395 fine with a max of $500 and 4 points on your driving record. Now I don't know about you, but $395 or $500 is a lot of money. And getting 4 points on a driving record is something I do not want. And I'm sure you don't either. So when it says come to a full stop, that means 0 miles per hour. Not 3, not 5, not even 4, or 2. A full stop means 0 miles per hour. And these are the stop lines. These are the lines in which the bus should stop before. And you can see them in the streets. They're all over town. Here's some more. These are the stop lines. You want to stop before that. Lennox sees that stop line, and if you cross it, it is considered an incomplete stop. So let's see. Oh, this is a famous one. This is going into Meadowood Mall. Now, if you look ahead, let's see what happens. What do you think? Think the bus driver could have made it? Was the light changing too fast? Was the bus driver driving too fast? I'll give you a couple seconds, discuss it amongst yourself. All right, let's watch it again. The light turns from green to yellow to red. Now the bus driver, I think, could have made it because it was a long yellow light. But you always got to be aware of the tail lights. So let's look at the next one. Same intersection. Okay. Now this is a high hazard area. Okay, and a Class C driver could believe it's a single left turn lane and not expect the bus. But look around, keep lookout for other cars. You got to leave room. And you know what? Just let them have the right of way. Tap the horn to communicate. Because this is what happens when you don't and are not aware. Now that car was not in front of them when they were at the light. It was on their left, on the driver's left side. And that car wanted to go really badly into that business there on the right. Now remember, this is a hazard area. So talk amongst yourself how this could have been avoided. All right. So what do you think? You're making the left-hand turn. The car wants to get in front of you. And they tried. It's just another accident that was avoided. Thank goodness. Now here's the same intersection again. Let's see what happens here. Now there's a car to the left of the bus, of the black truck, and on the left side. But let's see what happens. All right, that black truck kept going, didn't it? The one behind it tried to get in front of the bus. Now you just got to remember, you got to sometimes just let them have the right of way. It's not our road, even though we pay taxes to have them repave it and everything and fix it. But it's not worth it. You guys are the professional drivers. Yes, the other driver can be a jerk, cut you off, get your blood boiling. But you got to remember, you got to take the high road. Okay? Yes, honk at them, that's fine. But be aware that they will do that. Here it is again. They will cut you off. Because they think they have the faster vehicle. So this one here, let's take a look at this one. And let's see what, which one of the triple LCs is at play here. Whoa, that was a close call. All right, go ahead and take a couple of minutes to talk amongst yourselves of what could have happened, what went wrong. All right, let's take a look at it again. The driver's driving. There's a person, that pedestrian, and he's stepping into the bike lane. Okay? So first of all, the first question is, why did the driver drive in the bike lane? Okay? But the better question would be, why did this pedestrian decide to step in front of a bus? Well, thank goodness nothing happened. Nobody got injured. But you got to be aware. You got to look around. You got to look ahead. People do crazy things, especially with a cell phone in their hand and their eyes on their cell phone, thinking that everything is cool and they can just go ahead and walk and the traffic will stop for them magically. This is not Walt Disney. This is real life, folks. So be happy that nothing happened on this one. Whew, missed them by a hair. All right, here we are driving at night. What do we see? A railroad crossing. Let's see what happens here. Wait, did I miss something? Why don't you guys talk amongst yourself about what happened? What went wrong? All right, I think this was an easy one. Just to refresh everybody's memory, company policy states that a stop has to be made at all railroad crossings. You have to stop, whether it's a functioning or a non-functioning railroad. You have to stop before crossing the railroad tracks. Okay, so that's what was missing. There was no stop there. All right. What is wrong with this video? What's going on here? Let's take a look. Did you see it? Let's watch it again. All right, I'll pause it right here, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves about what could have, how could this have been avoided? What could the bus driver have done better? All right. So the lights in Reno are timed. Some yellow lights are longer than others depending on the speed limit of the street. If you're going, if the speed limit is lower, then the yellow light will change quicker. But you always got to keep an eye out for stale lights, whether it be green or yellow. And remember the stop line. Okay, now I wasn't on this bus. I don't know if there were a whole bunch of people. This bus was loaded with passengers. And had the bus driver slammed on their brakes, everybody would have been flying. Maybe that's the case. If that's the case, then the bus driver should have anticipated going slower in order to be able to stop before the stop line. But this is what happened. They're going pretty fast. The light changed, still yellow, last minute red, and boom, they come to a stop. Now, the people on the crosswalk have to go around the bus. They have to enter the intersection in order to cross the street. Now, luckily, nobody was there, but you got to remember, stop before the stop line. And you can see the other cars on the right-hand side, they are stopped before the stop line. They're not in the intersection. But guess who is? That's right, Keolis. So we don't want this. This will cut down on the rolling stops. This will cut down on the incomplete stops. So here we go again. You gotta look ahead for stale lights. This bus driver right here, see how far they are from the green light? But let's see what happens. Now, what do you think? Take a couple seconds, talk it over. Let me know what you think. Okay, back here the light's green, it turns yellow. Now this is a high speed street, So the yellow is going to stay yellow a little bit longer. Personally, I would have gone through the intersection because you're going at a high rate of speed. You're this close when the light changes. To come to a stop before the stop line would have been a hard break. It ended up being a hard break anyway. However, I think it would have been okay for the driver to go through the intersection if everything's safe to do so. But here we go. And again, they stopped in the crosswalk and the light's yellow. So you just got to look ahead, make a judgment call. Be prepared to stop, but also be prepared to keep going. Now here, we have a situation which you will be discussing shortly amongst each other. Let me know what you think. Or just let each other know what you think. Here we go. Well, what do you think? All right. Did you guys know that NRS 484B.127 states that following too close is a minimum of a $305 fine and 4 points on the DMV record? That's right. Now, I don't know about you, but I work too hard to give my money away to the court system. And getting 4 points on your DMV record is not a fun thing to do. You guys are professional drivers. You got to leave room. You got to look ahead and leave room. Just for these instances, the car had their blinkers on, communicating that they were turning right. This would have been totally avoided. It would have been a non-issue had the driver been just further back. Remember the 4-second rule. That totally could have gone wrong. Thank goodness it didn't. Well, this is the end of our safety meeting. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this presentation, for being a great person and driving as best as you can. If you're not driving as best as you can, I ask you that you please up your game. You guys are doing an amazing job, and you do it every day. And you are an important part of the team. So remember, you are professional drivers. Keep it real out there. Be safe. And have a great, great day. Thank you very much for coming.